If you don't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you lose. There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes louder than noise. A moment when excuses stop comforting you and start accusing you. When you realize that nobody is coming to save you, explain you, validate you, or rescue the future you keep dreaming about. That moment is not cruel. It is honest. And honesty is the first punch life throws before it hands you the weapon. If you don't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you lose. Not because the world is unfair, but because the world is exact. It pays in direct proportion to commitment, courage, and clarity. It rewards those who decide, not those who drift. And drifting feels safe. Until you wake up one day and realize safety cost you your destiny. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they never declared war on their own limits. They negotiated with fear. They made peace with comfort. They told themselves tomorrow would be different, while training themselves, day after day, to stay the same. Look at history. Thomas Edison didn't stumble into light by accident. He stood in the dark, again and again, while the world laughed, doubted, and dismissed him. Every failure wasn't a defeat, it was feedback. Every setback was refinement. He wasn't waiting to feel ready. He was becoming ready through relentless action. And that's the first truth you must face: motivation doesn't come before action. Action creates motivation. Clarity doesn't arrive like lightning. It's carved through movement, through decision, through discomfort. You don't find yourself. You build yourself. Your beliefs are the architects of your life. Long before money, before results, before recognition, belief decides the ceiling. If you believe you are small, life will keep you small. If you believe you are powerful, life will test that belief until you prove it's real. Belief is not a feeling. It's a standard. It's what you tolerate. It's what you allow. It's what you walk away from, and what you fight to protect. Andrew Carnegie understood this. He came from nothing, but he believed in leverage, in vision bigger than his hands. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, businesses, loved ones, yet refused to quit the idea of who he could become. They weren't immune to fear. They were committed despite it. Fear doesn't disappear when you grow. It just changes forms. The fear of starting becomes the fear of failing. The fear of failing becomes the fear of being seen. And the fear of being seen becomes the fear of success, because success demands responsibility. It demands consistency. It demands that you stop pretending and start producing. You say you want more, but do your habits agree? You say you want freedom, but are your days disciplined? You say you want confidence, but do you keep promises to yourself when no one is watching? Discipline is self-respect in motion. It's waking up when your mind begs you to stay asleep. It's doing the work when applause is nowhere in sight. It's training in private so life can reward you in public. Henry Ford didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. He created systems when others complained about circumstances. Vision without discipline is fantasy. Discipline without vision is punishment. But when vision and discipline collide, destiny starts to shake. You were not designed to live on autopilot. You were not born to repeat cycles, inherit limitations, or apologize for wanting more. Purpose isn't found in comfort, it's forged in responsibility. When you attach your life to something bigger than your moods, your energy changes. Your posture changes. Your standards rise. And here's the hard truth most people avoid: nobody owes you the life you want. You owe it to yourself. Every time you avoid the hard conversation, you lose ground. Every time you procrastinate, you vote against your future. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you reinforce the identity that keeps you stuck. But the reverse is also true. Every small act of courage compounds. Every disciplined choice strengthens your identity. Every time you act in alignment with your highest vision, you become someone new. And that transformation doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly. In early mornings. In late nights. In moments where quitting would be easy, and continuing feels heavy. Yet that wait is not punishment. It's preparation. Because life will test you. It will bend you. It will take things away. And when it does, you will either cry about what you lost, or stand firm knowing you fought with everything you had. And the people who fight don't live with regret. They live with scars, yes, but scars are proof of survival, not failure. Regret is heavier than pain because pain fades, but regret whispers for a lifetime. It asks, what if? It haunts quiet moments. It shows up when the noise is gone and the truth has nowhere to hide. You don't build resilience by avoiding hardship. You build it by walking straight through the fire and discovering you are still standing. Steel isn't strong because it was protected, it's strong because it was forged under pressure. And so are you. Life doesn't break people. Resistance does. The refusal to adapt. The refusal to learn. The refusal to take responsibility for where you are and who you've become. Look at those who rise when others collapse. They don't have easier lives. They have stronger minds. They train their perception. They understand that meaning is the most powerful force on earth. Two people can experience the same event, one becomes bitter. The other becomes better. The event didn't decide that. Interpretation did. That's why gratitude is not weakness. It's power. Gratitude rewires your focus. It trains your mind to see opportunity instead of obstruction. Even in pain. Especially in pain. Because when you can find meaning in suffering, suffering loses its control over you. This doesn't mean you smile through struggle. It means you don't let struggle define you. You acknowledge the hit, and then you adjust your stance. Adaptability is the currency of survival. The world changes fast. Industries shift. Relationships evolve. What worked yesterday may betray you tomorrow. Those who cling to old identities sink. Those who learn, pivot, and grow, rise. That's why learning is not optional. It's oxygen. The moment you decide you already know enough, life starts passing you by. The giants of history were eternal students. They questioned assumptions. They studied patterns. They sought mentors, books, failure itself. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the tuition. You either pay attention, or you pay again. And somewhere along this path, you realize something profound: confidence is built, not found. It's built through repetition. Through reps. Through showing up imperfectly and refusing to retreat. You don't wait until you feel strong. You act strong until strength becomes natural. The voice in your head will challenge you. It will remind you of past mistakes. It will exaggerate risk. It will beg for safety. That voice is not your enemy, it's your training partner. Every time you override it with action, you expand your capacity. Courage is a muscle. Neglect it, and it weakens. Use it daily, and it becomes your default. And make no mistake, this is a fight. Not against people. Not against the world. Against complacency. Against distraction. Against the version of you that settles. If you don't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you lose, because tears don't change outcomes. Decisions do. Standards do. Actions repeated daily do. There will be days you're tired. Days you doubt. Days when progress feels invisible. Those days are not signals to stop. They are proof you're in the arena. Nobody applauds discipline in the moment. The applause comes later, when results speak for you. When your life becomes evidence. So stand up. Internally first. Decide who you are no longer willing to be. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Decide what you are willing to sacrifice, because success always demands a trade. Trade comfort for growth. Trade excuses for ownership. Trade fear for faith in action. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect timing. You need resolve. And when life looks back at you, years from now, it shouldn't see someone who hoped. It should see someone who fought. Because fighters don't cry over lost dreams. They build new ones, stronger, clearer, and that is how a life is won. Not loudly. Not for applause. A life is won quietly, in moments no one records. In choices that feel small but carry enormous weight. In the discipline to show up again when yesterday didn't reward you. In the humility to admit you were wrong, and the strength to correct your course without shame. Because pride will sabotage you faster than failure ever could. Pride keeps people stuck defending old versions of themselves. Growth requires surrender. Surrender of ego. Surrender of excuses. Surrender of the lie that you are entitled to outcomes without effort. The truth is brutal and beautiful at the same time. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you become. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you embody. If you embody confusion, you attract chaos. If you embody hesitation, you attract missed opportunities. But when you embody clarity, when your values are non-negotiable, when your standards are firm, when your actions are aligned, life starts rearranging itself around you. That's not mysticism. That's law. The law of focus. The law of cause and effect. The law of consistency. Every thought you dwell on becomes a direction. Every direction repeated becomes a habit. Every habit shapes a character. And character, eventually, creates a destiny you can no longer escape. That's why you must guard your mind like a fortress. What you consume matters. What you listen to matters. Who you allow access to your energy matters. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people are seasonal. Some are lessons. Some are weights. Learn the difference. There will be moments when you must walk alone, not because you're better, but because you're becoming different. Growth is isolating before it's inspiring. The higher you climb, the thinner the air, the fewer the voices. But clarity lives there. Vision lives there. Purpose sharpens there. And in those quiet stretches, when doubt tries to creep in, remember this: every great transformation felt lonely before it felt legendary. Lincoln stood divided before he stood remembered. Disney was rejected before he was iconic. Carnegie was broke before he was powerful. They weren't spared hardship, they were shaped by it. You are not behind. You are being prepared. But preparation requires patience, and patience requires trust, not blind hope, but trust backed by action. Faith that moves its feet. Belief that shows up early and stays late. This is where most people quit. Not because they can't, but because they misinterpret the struggle. They think resistance means stop. In reality, resistance means you're close. The universe doesn't test what you don't care about. Pressure shows you where growth is required. It exposes weakness so strength can be built. So don't curse the resistance. Use it. Use it to sharpen your focus. Use it to deepen your commitment. Use it to prove, to yourself, that you are not governed by moods, but by mission. And mission changes everything. When your life has meaning, pain becomes fuel. When your goals have purpose, sacrifice becomes strategy. When your vision is clear, distractions lose their power. You stop asking, how do I feel today? And start asking, what does my future require from me now? That question separates leaders from followers. Builders from dreamers. Fighters from spectators. Because spectators have opinions. Fighters have results. And understand this, no one is coming to validate your effort. No one is keeping score for you. Life doesn't give participation trophies. It gives outcomes. So don't live for approval. Live for alignment. Live in a way that, even on your hardest days, you can respect the effort you gave. One day, the noise will fade. The crowd will disappear. The titles won't matter. And you'll be left alone with the truth of how you lived. On that day, don't let regret be the loudest voice in the room. Let pride speak. Not arrogant pride, but earned pride. The quiet pride of someone who fought when it would have been easy to fold. Someone who stayed disciplined when shortcuts tempted. Someone who believed in something greater than comfort. If you don't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you lose. But if you do fight, fully, fiercely, relentlessly, then no matter what you lose along the way, you gain something greater. You gain yourself. And a person who has conquered themselves can never truly be defeated.